myths dating back thousands of years. Hercules' problems began before he was even born. His father was Zeus, the king of the gods, but his mother was human. What started the whole mess was that Zeus was already married. His wife Hera was the queen of the gods. When she found out about the affair, she was furious. But Hera didn't blame her cheating husband. Instead, she focused her rage on the innocent child Hercules. To her, Hercules was a living reminder of Zeus's betrayal, so she vowed to destroy him.
Right now,
Come on, as soon as it start getting good, YouTube like, give me money. Give me money. Give me money.
Applying for that balance transfer.
First attempt came when Hercules was still a baby.
She sent 2 poisonous serpents to kill the babies. The serpents slithered into the cradle where Hercules and his brother were sleeping.
The serpents were meant to strangle him as he slept. But even as baby Hercules had superhuman strength. He crushed the serpents with his bare hands. Hera's plan failed, but she wasn't done. She waited for the perfect moment to strike again. Hercules became the strongest man alive. He eventually married a woman named Megara. Together they had children and lived peacefully. But that happiness made him vulnerable. Hera knew Hercules could defeat any monster, so instead of sending beasts, she attacked his mind. Hera used her divine powers to make him temporarily insane. Suddenly, the strongest man in the world couldn't think clearly. In his madness, he saw monsters everywhere. He fought back with all his strength, but those weren't monsters. They were his wife and children, and he ended them.
Oh
His madness
my
lifted
fucking God.
Hercules realized what he had done.
As he realized he had just committed the most unspeakable crime imaginable.
The guilt was unbearable. People who once called him a hero now saw him as a villain. But Hercules was given a chance at redemption.
The oracle tells Hercules that in order to atone for his sins, he must serve as the slave of King Eurystheus for 10 years.
But Eurystheus was now working with Hera. Now that Hercules was broken, they wanted to finish him once and for all. So the king gave Hercules 12 impossible tasks. These would become known as the 12 labors of Hercules. Each labor was designed to destroy him. For his first task, Hercules had to defeat the Nemean lion. Its skin was so tough that no weapon could cut it. But Hercules found another way to win.
But Hercules cornered the lion in his dark cave, stunned it with a club, strangled it with his bare hands.
Second task was worse. He had to slay the Hydra. It was a massive serpent with many heads. Cut off one and 2 more grew back. So how did Hercules defeat this creature? Each time he cut a head, he burned the wound shut so it wouldn't grow back. One by one, Hercules completed all 12. But no matter how much he accomplished, the guilt never left him. After the 12 labors,
And that won't
Hercules
leave
was
if
worshipped
you're working
as
for
a
the people
hero.
that
He was
did it.
still unhappy. Later, he tried to rebuild his life. He remarried, but tragedy found him again. His new wife was tricked into giving him a poison cloak. When Hercules put it on, the fabric burned him. The pain was unbearable and he couldn't take it off. So Hercules did something extreme. He threw himself into the fire.
After being completely consumed by flames, Hercules' spirit ascended to heaven. After this apotheosis, Hercules arrived at Olympus, where he was received by his father as a god.
Hercules experienced misery, loss, and guilt. Ironically,
If anybody
kings
on here, I'm
today
paying for
idolize
clippers too,
Hercules.
$20
They have no
a week.
idea that the original Hercules lived a life that no one would want.
You got
His next backstory
clip
transformed Crete into
Oh, I did
Prince
2
Charming.
cut. Nah.
Sleeping Beauty.
I'm about to start streaming.
Almost
everything,
everyone
so
knows
I'm
the
gonna need
story of
clippers.
Sleeping Beauty. A princess falls into an enchanted sleep. A prince kisses her, breaks the curse, and they live happily ever after. But Disney didn't create that story. They took it from a 1634 Italian book titled Sun, Moon, and Talia. It wasn't a fairy tale. It was a creepy story no child should ever hear. In the original, the princess wasn't named Aurora. She was called Talia. When Talia was born, her father received a prophecy about her future.
Someday, the princess will prick her finger on a spinning wheel and fall into a deep, death-like sleep. No!
And that prophecy came true. Talia grew up, pricked her finger, and fell into a never-ending sleep. Her father was devastated. Instead of searching for a cure, he abandoned the castle and left her behind. Years passed. One day, another king stumbled upon the empty castle. Inside, he found Talia. She was unconscious and helpless.
Wait, this nigga just left his daughter?
Where the story takes a turn Disney could never touch. The king didn't try to wake her with a kiss. He took advantage of her, then he left. Talia became pregnant. Months passed, and she gave birth to twins while she was still asleep.
Lucky for her, some fairies, like the ones in the movie, help her out with the birthing
So the prince went in there and did his
A
thing.
splinter of flax was stuck in her finger. The babies crawled over her. One accidentally sucked on her finger.
One of the twins starts sucking on Talia's finger by mistake, and the splinter that was under her fingernail comes right out, and she wakes up.
When she opened her eyes, she was now the mother of 2 children she didn't recognize. Soon, the king who violated her returned. He found Talia awake and saw the twins, and he was thrilled. That was the same man who took advantage of her while she was unconscious. And now they were acting like one big happy family. He visited often. He provided for Talia and twins. They were happy, but they couldn't go public with their relationship because the king was already married, and his queen was no fool. When she discovered the affair, she planned her revenge. She ordered her henchmen to kidnap the twins, cook them, and serve them to the king for dinner. She wanted her husband
Oh my
to unknowingly
fucking God.
The henchmen couldn't do it. Instead, they hid the twins and served the king lamb instead. But the queen
Yeah.
to meet was the twins.
Real
That
nigga.
night, the whole time the king is eating his dinner, the queen keeps saying weird, creepy stuff to him.
Eventually, her scheme was exposed. The queen was executed, and the king married Talia. Somehow, this was considered a happy ending in 1634. Disney completely overhauled the story, and that's how we got the version of Sleeping Beauty we know today. But ironically, the film didn't land the way Disney hoped. It was a box office bomb. The studio lost around $900,000, which is about $9.7 million today. The failure was so devastating that Disney didn't release another princess movie for many years. Up next is the story of the first Disney princess, Snow White. In 1937, Snow White was the first full-length animated film in the U.S. It took over 750 artists more than 3 years to complete. The hard work paid off. The movie was a huge success. However, it might not have been a hit if Disney followed the original story. The real story of Snow White was violent and grotesque. The version was adapted from the Brothers Grimm. In that story, the queen wasn't just jealous of Snow White, she wanted to eat her. She ordered a huntsman to kill Snow White.
The fucking eater? Why is he eating everybody?
She asked him to bring back Snow White's lungs and liver. The huntsman couldn't do it. He let her go. And he took the organs of an animal to the queen. And the queen actually assaulted them.
Not only did she think Snow White was dead, she thought she ate her lungs and liver.
The story continued. Snow White found the dwarves in the woods. The queen discovered she was still alive, and she tried to end Snow White over and over again. But each time she failed. Finally, the queen tricked Snow White into eating a poisoned apple, and she passed away. Here's where the prince enters the story. But he wasn't the charming hero Disney showed. The dwarfs placed Snow White in a glass coffin. The prince saw the funeral and fell in love with her lifeless body. He begged the dwarves to let him take her to his castle. The dwarves agreed. While the coffin was being moved, the servants stumbled. The glass case shifted. A piece of the poisoned apple dislodged from her throat. Snow White coughed and came back to life. Snow White didn't return to life because of a magic kiss. It was an accident. Snow White married the prince. The queen was invited to the wedding. She didn't realize she was walking into a trap. Snow White wanted revenge. Inside the wedding hall, the guards grabbed the queen. Iron shoes were heated in fire. Then they forced the evil queen to wear the hot shoes. The queen was forced to dance in torment until she passed away. That was the true ending of Snow White. Disney knew this version could never work as a children's film, so they changed it. But the Grimm version still exists, available for anyone to read. This next case involves a girl who did the unthinkable. Cinderella. Cinderella is remembered as the girl who never got angry. In Disney's version, she lives with her wicked stepmother and stepsisters. They force her to scrub floors and do endless chores.
But I just finished them again.
He was just over here in my
And don't
bed.
forget the garden. Then scrub the terrace, sweep the halls and the stairs.
But Cinderella never complains. She's an angel. Then a fairy godmother appears. Cinderella meets a prince, falls in love, and escapes her wicked stepmother. The original Cinderella was nothing like that. She wasn't a patient victim waiting for rescue. She took matters into her own hands. And her first victim was her stepmother. The Cinderella story told in 1634 was very different. And in that version, her name wasn't Cinderella. It was actually Zazola. She lived with her father and stepmother who treated her like dirt, and she burned with anger. But no fairy godmother appeared. Instead, a woman named Carmesina poisoned Zazola's mind. Carmesina told her she could escape misery by ending her stepmother. Once the woman was gone, Carmesina promised to marry Zazola's father. That would make her the new stepmom. then they could be a happy family. Zola agreed. She was still a child, but she was willing to take a life. She asked her stepmother to help her find a dress in a heavy wooden chest. When her stepmother bent inside, Zola slammed the lid on her.
When I play the video on here, they can't hear.
Zola's father never suspected her. After the funeral, she moved to the next step of the plan. Zola pushed her father to marry Carmesina. He agreed for a brief moment, as Zola believed her life would be beautiful. Instead, it got worse. At first, Carmesina kept her promise. She was kind to Zola, but once she was secure in her new marriage, she revealed her true nature. She was meaner than the first stepmother. Carmesina moved 6 daughters of her own into the house. Suddenly, Zola, or Cinderella, had 6 new stepsisters tormenting her daily. Zola worked like a servant from sunrise to sunset. She unfortunately ended her stepmother hoping for a better life, but it was all for nothing. The story continued. There were supernatural events and all sort of weird situations. The main parts were still there. Zola attended a royal banquet. She left behind her glass slipper. The prince searched the kingdom for the girl whose foot fit the shoe. In the end, he found Zola. It was a happy ending, but the road to it was paved with misery. One thing is certain, the real Cinderella is not a story of patience and kindness. It's about anger, revenge, and betrayal. 300 years later, Disney
I know.
erased
I looked at it on my phone.
Zola became Cinderella. Instead of the girl who ended her stepmother, she became the girl.
But I ain't worried. I'm about to
who
stop this. This joint stop. Because I was just doing
Cinderella. These characters look like
cartoons.
heroes on screen. Behind them is the pain and suffering. The people
I might do
every day
another
are
one
no
too.
different. They all have
I
a
might
past,
just start doing
stories,
some dropping
friends.
every
Be
day.
kind to
I might do a
one
couple
another.
of days.
You never know what
And I'm paying for clippers $20.
Usual lecture.
Oh my god, come
We
on.
talked about cartoon characters, but if you want to get even more in depth,
That's the one thing I hate
media,
about
I
this.
created a video that covers everything from TV shows, documentaries, to video games, and it is our longest video ever made. Click here to watch media banned for being too controversial.
Knocking everything down. That's my man Jake Snake here. Oh, that's it. Alright, that's the end of that shit. Yes, sir.
Some cases don't just go cold.
So,
The
all we
weirder, the
learned-
longer you look at them, witnesses you.
And that whole shit that every cartoon we ever watched was some bullshit. But the one thing I seen that they ain't talking about was on Winnie the Pooh. They said that all them joints was signs of emotions, and they ain't speak on that. Most they spoke on is him talking about his son and his son got bullied because they referred to him as John. Man, change that motherfucking name, nigga. Or yeah, I'm him. Yeah, you grew up on me, fuck nigga. Yeah. Stories you watched was about me. You was getting lit on me, boy. You don't even know how to live life. I taught you how to live life. I didn't lit, boy. Christopher, whatever the fucking name is, you tripping. But yeah, that's all I got for them right now. I'll spit it back to some shit.